Charles Cube Gurley III tells us why he chose South Alabama. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Thrilled to have South Alabama commit cornerback out of St. Augustine High School in New Orleans. It is Charles Cube Gurley III. We'll get to him momentarily. Over the weekend, also, well, I could think maybe it was over the weekend. Louisiana got a commit. They got their class of 24 quarterback, also out of a Louisiana powerhouse, Daniel Beal out of Catholic High in Baton Rouge. And then to wrap up things, we'll do a quick recap and see where we are on Sunbelt recruiting for the class of 2024. So without further ado, he is Charles Cube Gurley III, cornerback, a commit to South Alabama. Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Really thrilled to have one of those, 7 recruits that committed to the South Alabama Jaguars over the weekend. Charles Cube Gurley III join us now. Cornerback out of St. Augustine, powerhouse. People will know that. Leonard Fournette's high school, Tyrann Matthews High School. We obviously, even I can figure out you get the nickname Cube from, your father and your grandfather being first. All right, so let's get right to it. Thanks for hopping on. And why did you choose South Alabama?
Right. South Alabama is a great program. They have great academics as well as athletics, and they're just constantly excelling every year, I feel like.
And so when did they start recruiting you? This process seems to get earlier and earlier. Kane Womack is only heading into his third season as the Jags head coach.
Oh, they started recruiting me during the middle of my junior year, I would say. I think so. Or maybe a little bit towards the end. Either one, but that's mainly where my recruiting took off. So
now, did you know anything? Have you known anything about South Alabama before that?
Oh, I did, yeah. I definitely watched a lot of Sunbelt games, and I started seeing them. They're a young program, but like I said earlier, they're definitely excelling, and I like what the future has in store. So
now checking out 24/7, so you can correct me, add some other additions. You were recruited by Indiana. That's a Power 5 school. Marshall, Sunbelt foe. Mississippi Valley State, you were offered. Southeastern Louisiana and Toledo. And there seems to be one that's sticking out just a little bit different than the others. Maybe not in football powers, but there's an Ivy League school on there. There's Columbia University. Yes, and that is in a little bit different part of the world in New York. Did you give any thoughts about going to Columbia and getting out of your comfort zone, going from, the South to the Northeast and challenging yourself academically?
It's definitely a great organization. But, I'm very focused on academics, and I think Alabama has just as much as Columbia has, especially in my major that I wanted to major in. So,
which is what? What do you want to major in?
I want to do nursing.
Oh, really?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. That's great. We're talking with Charles Cube Gurley III. All right. So tell us about the recruiting process. What's it like? I mean, anybody who comes to New Orleans to check out whomever, right? They're always going to stop at St. Augustine just to see who's there, right? So how did that process start for you?
It started towards the end of my junior year, like I said earlier. I'm kind of a late bloomer, I would say, and my recruitment really didn't pick up until later on in my high school career.
So when you say late bloomer, does that mean you sprouted up from like 5'5" to like 6'1" over the summer?
No,
a couple years ago?
5'5". I wasn't 5'5". I was definitely shorter than I am right now. So.
Mm-hmm. All right. So when you sprouted up, were you a little bit awkward? Obviously, if you sprout up from 5'8" to 6'2", that's a good chunk. Maybe your legs aren't don't have that base or something like that. You can fly, but you maybe not under control.
I would definitely say I was a little awkward and probably discoordinated, but I think along the season I started getting used to my size and my weight. I started using it to my advantage, and I think that's why recruits started liking what they were seeing. So. And
you're 17 years old?
Yes, sir.
Listed at 6'2", 180?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that's pretty good size. I presume they'll put on a little bit of weight, but I wouldn't want to add too much more weight unless you want to move over to safety. I mean, if you're, good size corner, 6'2", 180 sounds pretty good to me. Between 180 and 190, that's a pretty good size corner. How fast do you run? And don't tell me you don't know because
my fastest 40 was a 4.49. That's what I clocked.
All right, so as a 17-year-old, you're under 4.5. That's fly. All right, that's fly.
Yes, sir.
What do you like about playing corner?
I just like how you can just put on a show. Like it's all about you when you're at corner. Like you're on an island, and it's really just you and the receiver. It's just intense, and it just allows you to become your best self, in my opinion.
All right, so I'm probably one of the last. I don't know if you watched Ted Lasso. I haven't watched it until this week, and I thought it was pretty good for Jordan Thompson because one of the things that Ted Lasso suggests is, goldfish are the happiest animals on the earth because they have the shortest memory. So as a cornerback, you have to have a real short memory.
Definitely.
How long did that take you to adjust that? You can't be thinking about the last play. You got to get over it quick because otherwise it's going to be over your head and for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. It definitely took some time, but I started to get used to it. Like I would always say, like you could have a great game, lockdown, no catches let up, and as soon as that 9 ball comes and they catch it on you, it's over. Everything just feels like the world's ending. So you got to just keep a level head and stay smooth. That's what I always try to do.
We're talking with Charles Gurley III, one of the newest recruits to South Alabama. All right, who was the lead recruiter for the Jaguars?
Coach Smith. Coach Smith. Smitty, that's what they call him. Coach Smitty. Yes,
sir. He's a character.
Yes,
all right, so how did you connect with him?
I started talking to him via Twitter, and then we exchanged numbers, and I just kept in touch with him throughout the season. So he's definitely been in my corner for quite some time.
All right, and it just so happens that the Jaguars are coming to you Labor Day weekend.
Yes, sir.
They're coming to play Tulane. I presume you'll probably be on the sidelines for that game.
I was looking into that, but I think we have a game that day, right before the game starts. Yes, sir.
Does St. Augustine play on Saturdays?
That's our season opener. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Lights.
That's a little bit different. That's a little bit different. You guys play on Saturdays instead of Fridays. What's it like playing for like a football powerhouse at St. Augustine? I looked up that 10 years ago they were honoring 33 NFL alumni, and you mentioned, I mentioned Leonard Fournette. You told me about Tyrann Mathieu. What's it like playing football at St. Augustine? Is there pressure? What are the expectations there?
I wouldn't say pressure. There's definitely energy and a brotherhood. So it's just awesome playing there, especially with my guys.
What have you learned? What have you learned playing football at St. Augustine?
So I just learned to be a team player. I can't put myself above the team. We have to be all level-headed, and we have to all just work together.
Was that an issue somewhere along the way?
I think it was. We over the summer we built that up, the teamwork, tenacity and stuff like that. But as time progressed, we've become more of a brotherhood. We learned to help each other.
I mean, you're working out over the summer. I mean, it is hot. There's nothing worse than people from the South complaining about it's too hot. But now it's too hot, right? 95 degrees and 95% humidity is one thing. But when you're playing outside and it's 110, 112, heat index, how careful are you guys? Because that's just dangerous just walking around.
Oh, no, we're definitely careful, but we're still getting in every day of the week. Somehow, some way. If we're not outside, we're in the weight room. And if we're not in the weight room, we're on a board. So always a way to get better.
You just go outside, get it done shorter. Like we got a half an hour. We can't do any more than a half an hour because otherwise everyone's going to go a little crazy.
Or we'll get on the board, and do chalk talks. So there's always something we could do to improve.
There you go. Who do you model your game after? Is there somebody that you look after that you look up to, a current cornerback?
I like Sauce Gardner a lot. I like his swag. He played with a lot of swag. And Jaire Alexander, too. I like him, too.
All right. What about Stingley?
Stingley's also a great corner, but I don't watch him as much.
He is Charles Gurley III. What about let's wrap it up here on Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Why make the decision now? What goes into that? I always wonder, a lot of kids make this decision in January. They can't sign until December. At least you waited until June. You only have 5 more months before you can make a decision. What went into the decision to make the decision now?
I really just wanted to stay focused for the rest of my senior year and give all I could to my teammates, just stay focused on the team and, stay focused on the grind. I didn't want to have this in the back of my head. I wanted to get it done with so I can just stay focused on my crafts and getting better as a player and a teammate.
All right, a couple more questions, just 2 more. What were you good at when you started, and what would you like to work on this year as a senior?
I was definitely always good at being very physical. As soon as I started, I was just thinking physical, hit. That's all I was thinking. But what I can work on, I say, is definitely I want to work on staying low. I'm a tall, lanky corner, so I like to pop up sometimes. But I'm working on staying low and my footwork. You can never stop improving footwork. So
Well, I'm sure those South Alabama coaches, not to mention the St. Augustine coaches, love hearing a 6'2" corner wants to be physical. So that's
Sir.
good stuff. He's
Sir.
Charles Cube, Gurley the third. Really appreciate your time hopping on Locked
No
On
doubt.
Sunbelt. Best of luck this season at St. Augustine, and we'll be
Appreciate it,
seeing you
sir.
in the Sunbelt. Thank you so
Yes,
much.
sir. Thank you.
All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll talk about the Ragin Cajuns quarterback for the class of 2024. He committed over the weekend, Daniel Beal, out of Catholic High in Baton Rouge. But first, let me tell you a little bit about FanDuel. Take your first swing at betting MLB on FanDuel and get 10 times your first bet amount in bonus bets up to $200. That's right. Just bet $20 and you'll land $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. That's $200 you can spend betting from everything from the money line to the over-under to who you think is going to hit the first home run. All on the app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Plus, when you win, you get paid instantly. There's no better place to bet on MLB than FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So sign up today and visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get up $200 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. That may not be a bad idea. That sounds like a good idea. If you're asking me, I will let you know if we get to do that tomorrow. Okay, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. The South Alabama, well, we talked about South Alabama and Charles Cube, Gurley III, but the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns, off to a little bit of a slow start according to 2024. It doesn't look like it's been updated, right? The amount of commits that they have. But they did get one commit. They did get Daniel Beal, quarterback out of Catholic High in Baton Rouge, all-state quarterback. And Catholic High is just one of the premier schools in South Louisiana. They are power in Baton Rouge, basically. Well, not basically, but it's them and U High for the most part, University High, which is right there on the LSU campus. And Daniel Beal had, I don't know if he had offers from Mississippi State, LSU, probably not LSU, but Louisiana Tech and Colorado State. And he decided to come to the Cajuns. He had offers from Colorado State, Louisiana Tech. They do list LSU, Mississippi State, and Florida State, but no offers. But nonetheless, it's nice little inroads there for Mike Desimo. Let's be honest. He's a 6'2", 190-pound quarterback. They're always in it, if not state champions. They're a power in Baton Rouge. And it's nice to get that kind of not only leadership, but kind of winner. All right. And it's nice for the Ragin Cajuns to get a little inroads in Baton Rouge. They do a good job, like Kane Womack is trying to do over in South Alabama and Mobile and Baldwin County. The Cajuns do a pretty good job of recruiting locally. And then when you can tap into Baton Rouge as well and get some kids to come over to Lafayette and play for the Cajuns, that is, I was going to say the Chefalaya Basin. So that's what I was trying to say. So that's nice to do. And then you can build from that. Daniel Beal may be able to get some guys to come. A lot of players like to recruit each other these days, social media wise. And obviously, you would think the next question would be, anybody else that we should be looking at? Any other your teammates? What about guys you play against? Anybody else? Who do you think is worthy of coming to play for the Cajuns? Because if you start to look at it, and I don't know the entire quarterback room when it comes to the Cajuns, but obviously the top three are Ben Wooldridge, Chandler Fields, and Zeon Chris. And I think Wooldridge and Fields are basically done after this year, whereas Zeon Chris is a redshirt freshman. So let's just, again, for the sake of this argument, say Zeon Chris is the quarterback for this season. So that would be his second year, although I'd have to go back and look to see if he's got, if you don't play in 4 ball games, if you don't play in more than 4 ball games and the bowl game doesn't count, it doesn't count. But we'll just say for the sake of argument, this is year number 2. Like he's a redshirt freshman. All right. So year number 2. And so Beal is still in high school. Then Beal comes over. He redshirts. Zeon Chris is now a redshirt sophomore. And now Beal is the backup as a redshirt freshman. And then Zeon Chris in his 3rd year as a redshirt junior. Does he go pro? Does he try to go pro? Can he go pro? Because now he's been here with the school for 4 years. All right. Then all of a sudden Beal is starting as a redshirt sophomore, or does he have to wait until he plays as a redshirt junior? He would still have a couple of seasons to play but you can see where, boy, maybe Beal's just one of those guys, or Chris is one of those guys to move on after, his 4th year in college. Who knows what the case is? Just kind of playing it out in my mind. What could be the soonest? I mean, the soonest could be Zion Chris is an all-time great and leaves after his redshirt sophomore season, right? He could do that if that's a possibility. Probably not, but you understand on how that could be the case. So Beal would have to sit. You would think that Beal would sit at least 2 seasons. Tough to think that you'd want to be sitting after 2 seasons. Kind of like Walker Howard, right? That's a good example. Walker Howard went to LSU not expecting to play his first year. But then all of a sudden, you got Jane Daniels going to be another year, and then you got Nussmeier who's in front of him. And so when is he going to play? So Walker Howard transferred to Ole Miss, right? And so he wasn't going to sit around and wait until maybe I can play for 2 years. You want to be able to play for 3 years. And so we'll see. I presume Daniel Beal will, obviously he's going to want to come in. He's going to tell you, no, I'm going to come in there and win the job, which is you would expect that from mostly everybody, right? I'm going to come in there and win the job. Probably not always going to be the case, but, you get the kid in there, he gets to learn the system. Someone's got to be the backup to Zion Chris. And so maybe that is the case. Who knows? And again, if you don't play in more than 4 ball games and the bowl game doesn't count, you continue to keep that red shirt. So you can actually play and keep the red shirt. So it is a big get for the Ragin Cajuns, and Mike Desimo and company should be very, very proud. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we'll do a little quick recap. Although I don't think that 24/7 is quite up to date on the Sun Belt recruiting, but we'll tell you what they got as of right now. All right, we'll do that when we come back after this. All right, again, special thanks to everybody. We're up over 300 subscribers. It's outstanding. Again, appreciate the comments. I didn't talk about, and I'll talk about them now, maybe because I did get a comment in there. It was about South Alabama, having a big recruiting weekend. He's like, oh, by the way, App State's got 20 and Southern Miss got 15. You know what? We didn't talk about them, but we will now. All right. Or coming up anyway. So I appreciate the feedback. I am the one answering the comments. It is me, what it says, Locked On Sunbelt. So appreciate that. If you see it on YouTube, like it, leave your comments, share the video. Also, don't forget, anytime you see the audio, you can, or anytime you get your audio podcast, you can get Locked On Sunbelt, wherever it is, Amazon, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, Spotify, Stitcher. Also, any reviews and ratings would be severely appreciated. Sincerely appreciated, probably is a better way of saying that. All right. So thank you so much for that. Honestly, the goal is 5. We got 2 months before opening season, before the season opens up. 2 months. Can we get 500 subscribers on there before that happens? We think July is going to be a good month because we have, it's all the we got Sunbelt Media Days plus all the rankings and preseason rankings and stuff like that come out. So we can talk about that when they do. All right. Again, thank you so much for tuning in. I am your host, Dave Schultz. Let's see if we got that back up there. Yeah, we do. All right. All right, quickly. So let's go over where we are. And this will be a good thing to remember. So at the end of June, basically at the end of June, and there may be some more commits here before the holiday over the weekend. But as of right now, Southern Miss leads the way. They are ranked number 1 with 15 commits. They got 5 3-stars. App State has 20 commits. They have 5 3-stars. All right. But then a lot of the teams are not ranked. A lot of the players don't seem to be ranked just yet. That could be because they're going to get ranked this summer. Like Troy is ranked number 3, but they got a total of 3 commits. Coastal Carolina has 10 commits, and they're behind Troy. I mean, the quality is not that big a difference. It can't be that big a difference. So Southern Miss has 15 commits. App State has 20 commits. Troy has just 3 commits. Coastal Carolina has 10. See, Texas State has 1 commit, and I know that's not right. They think, and Kev Chiadello was telling us that they have like 50 new players, right? Because it is not limited. It is only limited to 85 scholarships. You can bring in as many people as you want to get to the 85. And I thought I saw Kev say they have like 50 new people coming in. So I don't know about the class of 25, but they did get, you know what they did get? Texas State also did get a quarterback. I guess that's him. Brad Jackson. Is that? Yeah, that looks like him. A lot like Cube Gurley III, he had an offer from Columbia. Goodness. Listen how bright this kid is. Columbia, Georgetown, Harvard. He's from San Antonio, stayed home to play football at Texas State. All right, let's check out where else we have here in the Sun Belt. Marshall has 4 commits. Georgia State, 4 commits. Georgia Southern, 7 commits. See, some of these schools don't have any rankings whatsoever. South Alabama has 9 commits, and the Cajuns, it has listed 1 commit, but I believe Robin Fambro of the Advocate said that Beal was the 4th commit for the Cajuns for 2024. So we'll keep up to date as this gets updated. Probably be sometime in July. But some of these schools, I mean, App State is, they're basically done, right? Southern Miss is, got more than half their class. Coastal Carolina almost has half their class. And we did the episode on South Alabama, who had like 2 players committed on Thursday of last week. And then, we wake up Monday and they have 9. So they're rocking and rolling as well. All right. Hopefully we will be back again tomorrow with another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you again soon.